So we got some really big fights announced on the UFC 311 pay-per-view for UFC 313, and it's finally happening. We're getting Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev. We're going to talk about that fight today. We're also going to talk about Dan Hooker versus Justin Gaethje, which was also announced as, I believe, the co-main event. Sick fights. A couple other fights have been made on the card, and we'll go through those. Just the card's looking really good. And I'm going to add two more fights because there are three on the pay-per-view thus far. Of course, there's a WMMA fight on it. Way to fucking not make it perfect. It's actually not a bad one. I'm going to be real. It's not. These two are pretty solid. Amanda Lemos and Yasmin Lucindo. I'm okay with watching Amanda Lemos because she does crazy damage, and I think Yasmin Lucindo is really good. We're going to talk about these fights today. As you can see, we have three main card fights. And we have a bunch of prelims, and a lot of the prelims look really good. But I'm going to add two more to the main card that I think would make this a absolutely star-studded card. But first, let's talk about Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira. Sick fight. We've been waiting for this to happen. This is the most deserved fight in the UFC right now. Chimaev's definitely next. I'm really, really excited for this, man. This is Pereira's legacy test. It really is. Because when you look at it, he's gone through Yuri, that win has now looked 10 times better. He's got 2 wins over Yuri Prochazka. A win over Jamal Hill. Those are 2 awesome wins. He has a win over Jan Blachowicz. A win over Israel Adesanya. A win over Sean Strickland. His resume is fucking loaded. But when you look at those guys that he's faced, the only one that can really wrestle, is Jan Blachowicz, and he did get taken down and dominated for a full round of that fight, and then taken down at the end of round 3 as well. So, there's holes. Now, Magomed Ankalaev can wrestle, but he isn't a wrestler, and that's one of the things that I want to talk about is I actually think that Ankalaev's going to be dicking around on the feet for a little while in this just to try and prove it, and one of the things that I will say is that we have seen Alex Pereira struggle with the southpaw stance. He struggled against Izzy with the southpaw stance, where Izzy was able to land a lot of body kicks, a lot of his straight left hands. And Ankalaev's a very good counter striker. He's slow, he's poised, he does a lot of stalking down. But here's the thing is, I don't think he's going to be able to stalk Pereira. So what I will say is, I do think that Pereira is going to win this fight. I think it's going to be tricky, but I think he's going to win. I think he's going to eventually catch Magomed Ankalaev. Or if not, he's just going to do more damage across 3 rounds and win a decision. Across 5 rounds and win a decision. But we've seen more and more from Alex Pereira. And the reason I feel a little bit more comfortable is, right, he was getting hit in the Roundtree fight. Another southpaw that he was struggling with. Where that straight left hand comes down the pipe and it gets difficult. Roundtree kind of tallies up combinations where Magomed Ankalaev really is just looking for the one counter shot. And I think that's where Pereira is going to be a little bit better in the sense that he's going to be landing combinations. He's going to be careful, but he is going to be landing, and it's not going to be I'm not seeing Magomed throw a jab, jab, 2 to get on the inside, moving his head, jab, jab, 2, kind of like Roundtree was doing. Carrillo's jab, jab, 2 was working really good on Pereira. Magomed doesn't really use that combination. It's not to say that he can't. I don't think he has the same kind of footwork as some of these guys either, and I think that's where he might get struggled, and people are going to talk about the leg kicks. Yes, Ankalaev's gotten better at checking low kicks, but Pereira's still very, very good at hiding them, and he's not going to necessarily throw, where Rakic throws his low kicks and why it was difficult for him is he's throwing them across against a southpaw, where Pereira's fine with using the lead leg to tap the outside calf. Yes, he'll throw inside low kicks, but his outside low kicks are some of his best, and when he's going to be standing orthodox against a Magomed Ankalaev who's southpaw, I think you're going to see a lot of the lead leg kicks work out. I also think you're going to see him be able to be more diverse in the striking, mix things up a little bit more, where Ankalaev's really looking for that big power shot. I think Pereira's going to get it done. I think he's going to have enough stuff to make Ankalaev worry about. And I do think that there are going to be moments where Ankalaev shoots. But, dude, Pereira's training with Glover, who is a tremendous wrestler, tremendous grappler. I just think they've been drilling this for so long. They know this is the fight that's coming. So when they go into all the fight camps, it's let's train the wrestling. Let's train the wrestling. They're fighting Khalil Roundtree. I think they go, dude, I know he's not wrestling, but we know we're going to have Ankalaev next at some point, so let's keep training the wrestling. Let's keep training the wrestling. And that might have been why, part of the reason why Pereira was so, how do I say it? Like, part of the reason why Khalil was able to have so much success is just maybe just Pereira was like, he knew that Khalil was only going to strike, but he wasn't just training striking in that camp. When you're fighting Khalil Roundtree, all you should be training is Muay Thai striking. I think Alex Pereira's been working on the wrestling for a while. I think he's just getting better and better at it. And when I see him like not give up, when he's on the ground, he doesn't give up. You're not going to see Ankalaev get a submission on him. He just doesn't get submissions. You might see him try and land some ground and pound, but if there is space, I think Alex Pereira can get up and will get up. So what is Ankalaev going to do? Hold him down there? I think that the UFC, if they see Ankalaev laying and praying, I think this is going to be one of those fights where you see the ref step in and stand them up. And it's going to happen enough where people are going to be like, dude, they clearly want this on the feet so Pereira can win. But that's where, like, when I'm coming down with a prediction, I can just see kind of stuff like that happening. And when it lands on the feet, dude, like, Ankalaev's going to have some moments where he's able to land. But I think he's just going to get outworked by Pereira, and Pereira has more power than Ankalaev. Like, who has Ank really knocked out? Yes, it's Johnny Walker. Thing is, all it takes is one good shot. And that's where it gets to be difficult. When you look at Ankalaev's resume, it's, 10 wins by KO, 9 by decision, 1 by submission. But it's like decision against Johnny Walker. I'm sorry, decision against Alexander Rakic, where he lost the first fight. Lost the first round. Jesus. Uppercut knockout against Johnny Walker. Okay. I mean, I don't want to be that guy, but, like, who doesn't knock out Johnny Walker nowadays? Khalil Roundtree doesn't. But then he had a fight with Johnny Walker before that where he almost got caught. Like, almost got caught real bad. Then you have the Jan Blachowicz fight, which Ankalaev won. He did win, but there were moments where he was getting hurt. He was getting hurt, like, with the low kicks in that fight bad, and Jan Blachowicz is a damn good fighter, so for him to be able to go to that and have most people think he won, and then have him end up getting robbed, like, that is kind of impressive. Then you have Anthony Smith. He gets a KO, but it's via ground and pound, and we know about Anthony Smith, man. Like, we know. I just look at this and I go, like, is this that great of a resume? Thiago Santos, decision win. Volkan Ozdemir, decision win. Like, those are, I mean, this is a great resume, dude. I don't know who the fuck I'm talking about. It's a great resume. I don't see Ank getting it done, man, especially with the knockouts. What I'm trying to get to here is, like, who's he knocking out? Johnny Walker, no chin. Anthony Smith, ground and pound KO. I mean, say what you want. The 2-on-1 wrist control, Magomed Ankalaev's, you're not going to get 2-on-1 wrist control against this guy. But it's like he knocked out Ion Cutelaba, whose liver died by the shield. And then everyone else kind of goes to decisions. And it just, if you're going to go to decisions, I don't think that Ankalaev has the kind of output that's going to get you a decision win, and where Pereira is going to be able to have more output. And I think his chin's really good at 205. I think he's going to be able to walk Ankalaev onto some lead hooks. I think that for the first 2 rounds, Ankalaev's got to put the gas on, because as the fight goes longer, you're just giving Pereira more times to make reads on the feet. Now, where Ankalaev's going to have the success a lot is in the wrestling, I think. And it's not necessarily just the takedowns, but it's the thought of it, and being able to feint the takedowns and then come up top and have Pereira, like, sprawling for some goofy stuff. But Pereira's faster. He's a better striker. But this is the test for him. So I'm really glad the UFC made this fight. If Alex Pereira wins this fight, dude, you got to look at this resume and be like, he's some of the best. Dude, the amount of fucking ads on Tapology drives me insane, bro. I get they got to make money, but, like, dude, it's fucking maddening. Like, look at this win streak, dude. Khalil Roundtree. This was a scrap. But, like, this is one of those fights where you're like, oh my god, he shouldn't have went to round 4 with Roundtree. But, like, Roundtree does pose problems. And another thing with Roundtree is, like, there was adversity to overcome. Dude, I don't know what is going on with my sentence structure today. Khalil Roundtree was putting it on him. And And Alex Pereira was able to overcome that adversity. Yuri Prochazka, they rematch. He dominates Yuri in the rematch. Absolutely smokes him. Jamal Hill, listen, dude, that's a tough fight, and he still caught him with a knockout. Again, it was a little wonky, but like he caught him and he got the knockout. Yuri Prochazka, he beats him, and it was a little bit of a early stoppage, but at the end of the day, like, he was landing the ground and pound that was going to end the fight. Then he wins a split with Blachowicz, like, pretty much the same thing that Ankalaev did. He lost to Izzy on a counter right, but he was dominating him in that fight. Israel Adesanya hands up beating, and this is again another spot where he overcomes adversity. He knocks out a Sean Strickland. Like, I get it. The problem is, like, these aren't guys that are going to go to grapple with you. If he wins, dude, this is legacy cementing, though. You see him defending, like, so he becomes a middleweight champ, and then becomes a light heavyweight champ and beats a bunch of former champions, and then he goes and beats the real tough-tested number one contender. Like, this is legacy cementing for him. So, Pereira, it's on the line right now, brother. Because he's in a scenario where if he wins, it's like, dude, what's kind of next for him? Like, you're not going to do the Yuri trilogy. You have to kind of wait to see how other fights go. If Olberg beats Blachowicz, you're going to walk Olberg into a title fight. If Blachowicz wins, it's like, all right, I'm going to go up to heavyweight, test myself, and I have the light heavyweight championship to come back to if things don't go well. And by then, you have the division kind of sort itself out for the next contender. But we're going to move on. Justin Gaethje versus Dan Hooker. Love this fight. Have wanted it for a very long time. I don't know who I'm picking yet. Winnable for both. But Gaethje does this thing where, like, he loses a fight and comes back and gets a couple wins in a row. And then Dan Hooker does this thing where, like, he's going to go to fucking war with you. Absolute war. And I love that this is 5 rounds. Personally, I think 5 rounds is going to favor Gaethje, dude. Gaethje's the one training at elevation. But they both can go 5 rounds. Like, that's the thing. Hooker does get fucking tired, though. You saw that in the Poirier fight. And he's always fighting in 3-rounders and he's going to war. But that's the thing is, like, when you're looking at damage in this fight, Dan Hooker's going to wear a lot of physical damage from Gaethje. Where I can see Dan Hooker finding a win is via knockout. And it's from one of those knees up the middle because Justin Gaethje does this thing where he throws and he goes big looping hooks and his head comes down. I think Dan Hooker knows, dude, I'll take some of these hooks on the chin just to try and get that knee to knock out Gaethje. And he can do that. Now, the thing is, Gaethje took a lot of time off. His chin's probably refreshed and ready to go. But he's made some of those mistakes. He is hittable. And he wants to go to war with you. This is going to be one of those fights where these guys are going to go to absolute war. It's going to be awesome to see. Justin Gaethje and Dan Hooker's a fucking sick fight. We've all wanted this, man. This is the number 5, I think, or 6th, and number 3 ranked lightweight. I'm scared that if Gaethje wins, he gets a title shot off of this. Because, like, who else are you going to put against Islam Makhachev? Because they said they're not doing Sarukian. I know we want to see Sarukian, but Dana White put his foot down, he said no, and I know Dana's a stubborn bastard sometimes. Because if Hooker wins, like, he's not getting the rematch with fucking Makhachev. Like, it's just not happening. I look at this fight and I go, this is guaranteed violence. Love this thing. I don't know who I'm picking to win yet. I don't know, because Gaethje kind of, you can figure him out, and Hooker, you can figure him out. He's just going to be tough and gritty, but Gaethje's also tough and gritty. I don't know who to pick. I like the reach for Dan Hooker here. I like the coaching for Justin Gaethje, if I'm being honest. I like the cardio for Gaethje. I like the specific knee up the middle for Hooker in terms of technicality. This is a good one, bro. This is going to be a fucking scrap. Justin Gaethje, Dan Hooker, co-main event. It's 5 rounds, dude. That's perfect. Sick fight. So excited for that to happen. Also on this card, Amanda Lemos versus Yasmin Lucindo. As far as women's MMA fights goes, it's a pretty good one. Like, this actually is a fun fight. 2 dangerous women at the top of the division. Then you get Bruno Ferreira, Armand Petrosian. This is actually a fun fight. I think Petrosian gained a lot of stock with his loss against Shara, where he was having a lot of success in moments. Bruno Ferreira, man, if you've been watching, like, if you watch Bruno Ferreira, bro, he's always in a fucking war. It's always fun. He has the ability to put anyone out in any time, and he'll fucking go out on his shield. Ozzy Diaz, Jordan Santos, don't fucking care about that one. Alex Morono, Carlos Leal, the Juice Monster versus the fucking Goof Monster. It'll be fun. I think Leal fucking dominates in that one. I'm gonna be real. Myron Santos, the return of the tough winner, Myron Santos. Dude, this guy's a fucking Scrappy McScrapovitz, bro. He's absolutely good. Very good. The low kicks are nasty. And he gets Francis Marshall, which, dude, like, I don't know why he's ranked number 356 here. Oh, maybe because it's at featherweight and he's a fucking bantamweight. He's not, though. He fought Bazooki at featherweight. I think Francis Marshall's really good. I'm gonna be real. I'm going to keep it real. I think Francis Marshall is very good, and I think he can have some success if he implements the grappling here. But Myron Santos, he's very, very good as well. So that's a sick fight to keep an eye out on. Joshua Van and Bruno Silva, man. That is a fucking scrap to be made. That is such a good fight, dude. I'm going to be real. I'm terrified for Joshua Van. I don't think Bruno Silva is that good. But he hits like a fucking truck. And Joshua Van, we've seen him get chinned. Where Manel Kape just doesn't get chinned. Joshua Van, we've seen him be chinned. I can see Joshua Van getting chinned in this fight, and I can see Joshua Van dominating this fight and just getting chinned at some point. But where I'm going to trust Joshua Van is his ability to go to the body. I think Bruno Silva is one of those guys that if you go to the body enough, he will shut down, be exhausted, and just be a punching bag for the rest of the fight. So that is a fucking scrap. I want to talk about two other fights that I would add. So again, we got Pereira versus Ankalaev main event. Co-main event. Dude, this is such a good fight. These two fights are fucking awesome. This is the potential to be the card of the year if they actually do the right stuff. Pereira Ankalaev main event. Gaethje versus Hooker co-main event. Fourth fight on the card. Lemos versus Yasmin Lucindo, because you're never going to open up the card with the women's fight to get people pissed off right away. You're not going to put it as the feature fight here either. So you have that as the fourth fight on the card. Main card opener. Dude, I want to see Do Ho Choi jump in the rankings against Dan Ige. I think Do Ho Choi versus Dan Ige is an absolute recipe for a scrap. Both guys can wrestle now. Like, Do Ho Choi can wrestle now. He can grapple. He's gotten so much better since his time off. And they'll both stand on the feet and scrap as well. Like, Do Ho Choi's a great boxer. Dan Ige's got some pretty good technical boxing as well. This is a scrap, dude. Do Ho Choi, Dan Ige starting off the main card will be a fucking war, and it will get people going. Then you get Lucindo versus Lemos, which is probably going to actually be a good fight. I know I fucking shit on WMMA all the time because there's never a chance of danger ever. But Lemos and Lucindo are two women that actually disprove my theory. It's not a theory. Disprove my fact for a little bit. Those two actually will do damage to each other. But I think if you do Ho Choi, main card opener, then you have the Lucindo versus Lemos fight, then you go to the feature fight, I want to see Carlos Prates versus Jeff Neal. Now, none of this Carlos Prates getting a top 5 guy. He doesn't fucking deserve it yet. Just because he's a great person to have in the UFC to make edits of doesn't mean he just deserves to jump in the top 5. People want to bitch about Alex Pereira getting the star treatment, but then we'll actually tell you, dude, Prates is seriously deserving of a JDM fight, bro. No, we did get JDM Edwards, and JDM's going to sleep his ass and get a title shot after Shavkat, bitch. Let's go. Let's go. I think Prates versus Jeff Neal would be great. You have Prates, who's ranked like 13 right now or something like that. You have Jeff Neal, who's ranked 10, 8, something around there. Southpaw versus Southpaw. Muay Thai striker versus a boxer. I don't think you'll see much grappling in this fight unless it's Jeff Neal pushing up against the cage. But I think Prates uses his range very well, and it's winnable for both guys. Jeff Neal's a tough guy to put away, dude. He's really tough to put away, and his striking and his boxing is super slick. We haven't really seen Prates get hit that hard. I think Jeff Neal can hit him that hard. And dude, if Prates was getting boxed up by Traven Giles and people are able to land on him with the hands, I think that Jeff Neal can seriously make this a scrap. That has a fight of the year potential written all over it. I think Prates versus Jeff Neal is the feature fight, and then you get 5 rounds, Hooker and Gaethje, and then the main event of Pereira versus Ankalaev for the light heavyweight belt. That is a fucking card to make. This is just my reaction to the UFC 313 so far. I am going to make a 314 card builder for you very soon, probably to come out at the end of the week since there's a lot of off time for the UFC this week. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, please like and subscribe.